Hello, say hi to a happy day and enjoy listening while I read to you a story. The Enchanted Unicorn Adventure. Briar Horse, which is what Aurora was known as when she lived with the good fairies, was learning how to plant a garden with her aunts. For weeks, they had tended to the weeds, watering, weeding, and waiting. Oh, won't they hurry up? Meriwether said. She was ready to see those blossoms. It'll be worth the wait, Briarrose said. But Meriwether didn't like waiting. Later that night, she approached the other fairies. You know what would make the flowers bloom? She whispered to Fauna Magic. Oh, for goodness sake, Flora mothered. In a huff, she went to the cabinet where the magic wands were hidden. No wands, she said. We promised. Everyone got ready for bed, but Briarrose couldn't fall asleep. She'd planned a surprise for her aunts, and she thought her secret might be revealed that night. They're blooming, Briarrose cried as she dashed down the stairs and out the front door. But how could that be? Fauna asked. The sun has already set, Flora replied. Then she gave Meriwether a stern look. It wasn't me, Meriwether cried. Sure enough, the garden was bursting with blooms. Surprise! Briarrose shouted. We planted evening primrose, moonflower, and night-blooming flowers, Fauna interjected. I should have known. Just then, a branch snapped. Briarrose turned and couldn't believe her eyes. In the corner of the garden, a family of unicorns was grazing on the moonlit blooms. The baby's horn glittered. Briarrose's eyes were glued to the magical creatures. Unicorns only come out at night for fear of being seen, Flora said to Briarrose. They're shy but friendly, and they must have smelled the flowers. They eat petals. What if we won't have enough for them? Briarrose asked. Don't worry, Fauna said. There's plenty in this garden. It's a feast. Briarrose couldn't help herself. She had to get closer to those unicorns. So she plucked the flower and offered it to the baby unicorn. The animal was nervous at first, but then it slowly took the flower from Briarrose. The baby smiled as it ate and then licked Briarrose's hand as if to ask for more. It tickled. You can eat as much as you want, Briarrose said. You're safe here. The fairies enjoyed seeing Briarrose so happy, but sensed their presence was making the unicorn parents a bit uneasy. We should let them be, Meriwether suggested. So Briarrose and her aunts headed back inside. Meanwhile, Maleficent's raven was out for a night flight. The evil fairy had tasked him with scanning the surrounding area every evening. Most of the time, there was a little to report, but that night, he spotted the unicorns, which were very unusual. He immediately returned to Maleficent. Back in her castle, Maleficent was not pleased. Unicorns in that pesky cottage garden? We'll have to do something about that, she said. Maleficent didn't like anything out of the ordinary, and unicorns were the most extraordinary creatures of all. When I'm through, no one will be able to enjoy those flowers. Moments later, a flurry of frost flooded from Maleficent's tower. It moved fast, heading straight for Briarrose's garden. Those unicorns will have a hard time finding something to eat now, the evil fairy said. Maleficent crackled. She was delighted to have ruined the flowers. She knew it wouldn't be long before the unicorns had no choice but to leave the forest. Early the next morning, Briarrose rushed to the garden, but her excitement quickly turned to confusion. Frost? She cried. What bad luck! Briarrose feared the frost had killed her flowers, thereby leaving her unicorn friends without food. She knew she had to help, so she grabbed her cloak and a basket, then walked into the forest. Perhaps some flowers are blooming elsewhere, she thought. She noticed that the frost hadn't traveled far. She walked for a long time. Then Briar Rose caught a glimpse of something moving. For a moment, she was distracted from her quest. What could that be, she wondered. It was the mother unicorn. Why, hello there, Briar Rose said, relieved. The mother unicorn had been jumping on a patch of wildflowers. Are you trying to bring back food for the baby? Briar Rose asked. The unicorn whinnied. Let me help, Briar Rose said, and together they plucked an entire bouquet. When Briar Rose returned to the cottage, she put the remaining wildflowers in the vase, just in case the unicorn family stopped by for a snack. The next morning, Briar Rose checked on her bouquet, but the flowers were already wilting. I didn't let frost stop me, and I won't let wilted wildflowers stop me either, she said. There must be some flowers that are as strong as I am. She found her answer in a gardening book. There are flowers that bloom even when it's cold and snowy. In fact, they sometimes bloom best after a frost. Did we plant any? Merryweather asked. We did, Briar Rose answered. Forget-me-nots. With a little help, they'll be ready by nightfall. Briar Rose and her aunt spent the whole day tending to the garden. First, Briar Rose and Merryweather carefully watered the plants to clear and melt the frost. Later in the afternoon, Fauna pruned the dead leaves while Flora gathered the debris and cleared it away. By nightfall, the garden was good as new, and peeking through was a burst of dainty flowers. The sun had set, and the forget-me-nots had blossomed. Just then, the baby unicorn trotted forward and sniffed the petals. It started eating, and Briar Rose patted the creature's head. I can't believe I have enchanted friends to visit with me every night, Briar Rose said. Flora gave the other fairies a sideways glance. My dear, she began, as you know, flowers only last for a season. I'm afraid unicorns are similar, Merryweather added. They don't stay in one place for long. But maybe they'll be back next year, Fauna said. Like the flowers? As her aunts wrapped her in a warm hug, Briar Rose was certain of one thing. She could work through any obstacle that was thrown for her, especially with the help of her family. The end. I hope you enjoyed listening to this story, The Enchanted Unicorn Adventure. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to listen to more of our favorite book stories. See you soon!